So I welcome now the next speaker of the day. She is Shipra Agarwal. Shipra is an agile practitioner with expertise in providing coaching and training. She comes with an immense software engineering, delivery, and project management background. She is also active in an active agile community building and member of Scrum Alliance practitioner community at the global level and other parts of India. Today, she is going to enlighten us on the Scrum and supply chain. Welcome, Shipra.
Thanks, Bhakti. Thanks for this lovely introduction. And as Nagani rightly mentioned, I'm really feeling very, energized and excited, looking forward for so many ladies in this lovely group. So, the day has started really well of me, really meaning Mother's Day, Women's Day it seems to me like I'm sitting in the Women's Day forum, and it's just about not having any formal discussion, but just, having sharing our knowledge. So it's like a co-learning session for me, learning from these lovely ladies. So happy Mother's Day, all of you, and I hope all your families and you are staying safe in this pandemic. So I'm just sharing my presentation. Um, so I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I welcome you all to this Scrum and supply chain session. Just briefly about me, I'm Shipra Agarwal, and I have been into this agile world for around 6 years, where I've trained and coached people from diverse organizations. And what motivated me to take this session on Scrum and supply chain is that, during pandemic, we all have realized the importance of supply chain even more in our organizations and in our lives. So, I've tried to list few of the challenges which I think are there in the supply chain world, like making the product available to the customer. So today, when we go out for shopping or to buy some essential purchases, one very common thing we hear the vendors saying that, there's a shortage in production or there's a shortage in supply. Then second, I think, is the handling disruptions, whether it is due to a pandemic, whether it is due to any environmental conditions, due to any political reasons. So that becomes another challenge in the supply chain. The capacity constraints, where the inventory does not matches with the demand capacity or the vice versa. So you can see many of the empty sticky notes here. So it will be great if I can have your thoughts of what you think are or can be the challenges in the supply chain world by going to this link of menti.com and enter this passcode 32392068. So if we can please go to menti.com and you'll need to enter this passcode 32392068 and share your thoughts that what challenges you think or you recognize in this business. So we'll take a minute to share our thoughts. So you need to go to menti.com and enter this passcode there 32392068. And I can see some lovely inputs coming in: preferences, resource scarcity due to COVID attack. Just in time is not always just in time. Very true. Product availability, quality, quantity, inventory capacity, service delays. All right, thanks for all those lovely inputs. So, what kind of problems does the supply chain operation team faces on the ground to solve these business challenges? It's handling like changing priorities or different priorities among the different teams, seeking out for a lot of approvals, handling the communication issues, different departments working in the silos, the lack of alignment. So, if we are able to solve these issues, we can really make an impact in solving our business challenges, which we recently which we just discussed, like of inventory capacity, service delays, preferences, product availability, quality, and quantity. Although I'll say that organizations are solving it today also in their own ways, but solving it through an agile approach will make it in a more effective and better, and will give the faster results. And the reasons for the companies adopting agile are, if we talk about the top three reasons, is to accelerate the product delivery, is to manage the changing priorities, to increase productivity. So these are the common reasons for which the companies are adopting the agile practices. Now, when we talk about agility, when we talk about bringing in the agile, it has two parts to it. It is being agile and then doing agile. Now, when we talk about being agile, it means that we need to bring in the mindset. We need to bring in that cultural change. And by that, we means we need to imbibe the agile values and principles of inspecting and adapting, of being transparent, of being focused, committed, and being courageous. And then once we are in that culture of inspecting and adapting, where we are guided by the principles and we imbibe those values, we can follow any methodology or any framework of agile. So be it a SAFe, be it a DAD, be it a LESS, be it a Nexus. So if we say that all these frameworks, which, just to give an example, have a snapshot here, they have Scrum as the heart of their frameworks. So just to briefly describe about the core elements of Scrum. So one of the trademarks of an agile organization is to ensure that everyone is aligned and they share the common goal to deliver the value. Now in Scrum, that alignment happens through the product backlog, where the team have the product goal as the long-term objective for the Scrum team. Now, the Scrum team consists of Scrum Master, Product Owner, and the developers, where the Scrum team did together deliver the increment by inspecting and adapting in the events of sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. Having and working in an agile culture where the Scrum team is cross-functional, empowered, self-managing, and collaborating teams. So this, in a very brief, or I'll say in a nutshell, are the core elements of Scrum. Now, let's talk about a particular scenario specific to supply chain, where we are setting up a new warehouse by a desired date. So this is based on an article, The Scrum is Not Just for Software, by Robbie McIver back in 2009. And we are going to see that there are few things which will be deviating from the Scrum rules, but they have been chosen to recognize the distinct nature of this work. So the business context here is that we need to optimize the supply chain, and the organization decides to open a warehouse to serve a particular geographical market. So if we talk at a very high level, opening a new warehouse involves these major tasks of selecting the vendor and the products, of gathering and validating the specific product information, designing the supply chain for each vendor, negotiating the vendor contracts, and building up the initial product inventory at the new warehouse. Now, if you see, Scrum does not change the work that the team intends to do, but it just changes, or it will just change how the work is organized and measured. So let's see how that happens. So this is a just a brief picture, which I've tried to lay out as a framework for this scenario. Now, in this, we say identify the value stream. Now, the value stream is nothing but it means the end-to-end flow of how things will move to establish the warehouse. Now, this is how things will move to establish the warehouse, where we'll have first as the product validation, where you determine the vendor products and gather the specific product information. Then it goes to the supply chain, where we analyze and define the optimal supply chain network for the vendor. Then it goes to the contract, where we negotiate a contract with the vendor. And then comes the fulfillment part, where we are building up the initial product inventory in the warehouse and enabling the standard replenishment process. So for this scenario, we can say this is our value stream. This is an end-to-end flow of how things moves for establishing the warehouse. So this is at a very, very high level we are talking about. So now in our scenario, we can see that each of these can be considered as a Scrum team. So product validation can be one Scrum team, supply chain one Scrum team, and contract one Scrum team, and fulfillment one Scrum team. So this is like, we can say one of the deviations which I just mentioned, that we'll be seeing some deviations from the normal Scrum rules. So in this, as this picture goes, we identified the value stream. Now, next is to set the goal for product and the sprint. So now we can say that our product goal is to have 52 million cases of the product flowing through the warehouse and make this happen within 6 months of opening this new facility. So the product goal is to have 52 million cases within 6 months. Now let's see about the sprint goal. Now, as I mentioned, that we can take each of these as a Scrum team. So you can say that fulfillment team has a sprint goal of having the 4 million cases per sprint. Now, as you can see from this picture, that each prior team has a higher number for the sprint goals. Because I had a discussion with few of my clients which were into supply chain, and they say that, Shipra, we eliminate the vendors at every step. So, so taking this as an example, say, the contract, supply chain, and the product validation, at every step, there might be that the vendors are being eliminated from the program at the various points. So the contract team is having a sprint goal of 4.2 million cases, but the fulfillment team has a sprint goal of having 4 million cases per sprint, taking into account that some vendors might have been eliminated in this process. Now let's see. We identified the value stream, we set up the product goal, and then we set up the sprint goal. Now creating the definition of done. So the definition of done in this scenario is a checklist of all the tasks that are prerequisite for any downstream team to begin their work. And that checklist must be completed by the team for those selected vendors. And then that completed work for the selected vendor will count that product volume for that vendor towards their sprint goal. So for example, product validation have picked up 2 vendors. They need to complete that checklist before the supply chain team starts working on those 2 vendors. So the product validation team will complete their task or the checklist, which is mentioned in their definition of done, for those 2 selected vendors. And the selected vendors, they will have the product volume, which will count towards the sprint goal of the product validation. So that creates the definition of done for each Scrum team. Now, In this scenario, the product backlog for each Scrum team will be the list of vendors which are ready to enter the team's work stream. So product validation will have their own product backlog in terms of, say, vendor backlog. Supply chain team will have their own product backlog in the form of supply chain backlog, and so on and so forth. So product backlog is the list of vendors which are ready to enter the team's work stream. And you can also record any other information which the team wants to know about the vendor, like the number of products or the case volume of the products. So till now, we have seen identifying the value stream. We set up the product goal and the sprint goal. We created the definition of done, and we saw what backlog stores in for each Scrum team. Now the team enter into the planning, execute, and measure phase. Now, in their sprint planning, the team selects the vendors from their backlog. So once the Scrum team have their vendor backlog, they will select the vendor, which vendor to work on. And their definition of done will be comprising of all the tasks that needs to be completed for those vendors. And that is what the team needs to keep focus in their daily Scrum. So in the daily Scrum, the teams focuses on the sprint goal by completing those tasks that are mentioned in the definition of done for those specified vendors. And once the team accesses these vendors and complete their task, they record the number of cases for those vendors which are completed and which count towards their goal. Now, in the sprint review, the selected vendors which are completed as per the definition of done are placed into the backlog of the next downstream team. So the completed vendors of the team which they have completed in their sprint, they put on the backlog of the next downstream team in the sprint review. And in the sprint retrospective, the teams look at how the last sprint was in terms of their relationships, in terms of their process improvements, and what they can continue or what they can start or what they can stop doing in the next sprint. So we identified the value streams, we set up the product goal and the sprint goal, we created the definition of done, we planned and we execute. Now comes the measure. Measure is very important, and you must have information radiators to be available to all the teams to share or to be transparent about it, about the actual progress which the team is making about. And you can use any tools for it, be it a Jira, be it an Excel worksheet. So, but the important part here is that you need to measure it and you need to broadcast that information in the form of information radiators so that the teams know where the actual progress is being made and you're very transparent about your progress. So that completes the cycle of identifying the value streams, setting up the goals, creating the definition of done, planning, executing, and measuring. So what difference was there before we had done Scrum and after Scrum in this scenario? So if we talk about before, the vendors were arbitrarily pushed through the process. But if we see now, after Scrum, vendors were being selected by the team in their sprint planning meeting. So I'll just go back to my slide. So if you see in the sprint planning meeting, the team selects the vendors from their product backlog. And before, the teams were accountable for meeting their certain delivery dates. But now, the teams are accountable for meeting their sprint goals. So like for an example, we said that, fulfillment team have to meet a sprint goal of 4.0 million cases every sprint, every 2 weeks. Before Scrum, all planning was done upfront. But after implementing Scrum, planning is done continuously at the sprint boundaries. So before, the attainment of business goal was obscured. But now, with the help of the information radiators, when they're executing and when measuring it, they know precisely how far they are from meeting their goals. So I think still a lot of work is going on, and we are still working a lot of other scenarios of the supply chain, and this is just the start of the journey. But what encouraged me and what motivated me, that although just a one scenario, but we need to share this information, that if it can help some way or the other to the any organization or to the any of the clients. So that was my motivation for sharing that. Thank you. So I'm open for questions. So in case you have any questions, over to you, Bhakti, Madhvi.
Hi. Okay. Yeah. Let me read out the questions. Give me a moment. Yeah. Saranya, hello. Would you like to?
Yeah, I'm
Do we
back.
have any questions?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do. We do have some questions here. In the first place, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on, especially I was happy to hear from you on how Scrum is being used in supply chain. And the questions for you is like, the first question is from Sheila. If the team goal is a certain number of cases, does that give larger vendors a big advantage?
Yes, Sheila, a very good question. So, the big advantage which I have seen personally in my journey here so far, although it has just started, but the thing is, till now I have seen the clients that talk about the delivery dates, but giving them a team goal in the numbers, makes a very win-win situation for the vendors as well and for the teams as well. The moment you start talking about in numbers, it gives a vendor a very I can say an advantage or a big smile, and the teams are also, they do not have some arbitrary date to meet, but they do have some focused number to meet on. And but here the important thing is, although it's just a very a snapshot, there are a lot of homework and groundwork which needs to be done when we are coming out with the product backlog, and when we're coming up with the definition of done. There's a lot of research and a lot of communications and brainstorming sessions which happen sitting with the supply chain teams. So there, when you need to come out with those vendors and their product volume, so the data needs to be very correct before you start giving out the team goals. And yes, it's an advantage to both the teams as well as to the vendors. So I hope that answers your question.
To me, it looks like yes, but Sheila, if you have any, follow-up questions on that, feel free to unmute, and we can check with Shipra on this.
I have a question. Okay, at first of all, Shipra, thank you so much. This is really a business case study, what you have presented, like what we do in the industry. But can you share about the resistance, about Agile beyond IT? Because as in the IT, we get a lot of resistance just building the culture, mindset. So, I mean, how about it in your field, like supply chain? What kind of resistance you get there?
So, Madhuri, first, to be very honest, first of all, I was resistant to take this up, but but then I realized that probably it'll it's a new challenge. Then why not to take it? And as Agile, we say that we have to be nimble. So let me take this challenge and let me put my step forward. So after I overcome my resistance, and it was more like I remember I took one of the sessions for one of the very big organizations, so where they were quite happy to start with. So seeing their confidence in me really encouraged me. And it was vice versa, their encouragement and their confidence helped me broke my resistance. So actually it was vice versa, it was not a resistance from their side, it was a resistance from my side. But yes, when I the top leadership did not had much resistance, but when you break through those teams, when you talk to the vendors, when you talk, so they are resistant in sharing the information. I think that is the one big gap or the gray area where the sharing the data and getting the information really becomes tough for you to proceed on. So I think that was the one main resistance. And then for that you need to because in a supply chain environment, there is very hard to convince them for a session. They do not agree very easily because they do not understand the importance of the session. It's like a time wastage to them because they do not see any productivity coming out of them. So they said that it will be all like knowledge and gyan type of a session. So you have to convince them that you for that session itself takes a lot of time, and then sharing that information to bring it into that mindset is really difficult. So I think those are the small stones which takes time.
Yeah, so it's absolutely great to see that you're going beyond those comfort zone of yours and
Yeah,
you're making
yeah.
that difference. Very inspirational. Thank you so much,
Thanks, Madhuri.
Shipra.
Thank you. Thanks, Madhuri.
Yeah. And that, reminds all of us that agility of mind is the real key, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So thanks again, Shipra.
Thank you.
And if there are any questions from the participants, feel free to ping Shipra. She would be with us, I hope, for some more time.
Yeah, I'll
Thanks
just
again.
share my LinkedIn also. So if you want to connect, we can connect there as well. Thank you.
Sure, Shipra. Thanks.